palm enthusiasts? This week I have a great episode for you. I am so excited. I've been excited about telling you guys about this palm pretty much since I came up with the idea for Palm Sundays, or at least laid out the schedule. As you clicked on in the thumbnail, possibly going to be more cold tolerant than the Pindo palm. Now, of course, that is definitely subject to opinion and especially climate. One more announcement for all of my fellow palm enthusiasts is next week I am going to be on the Palmcast as a guest, and I am so excited for that episode. So I encourage you to check that out. I would greatly appreciate it. Alright guys, without further ado, let's go! I don't want to hit my painting. Alright guys, I have really been looking forward to this one. This is the Taiwanese sugar palm, also known as Formosa palm, as you can see on the screen. That's the Latin name, Arenga anglerii. As its name would imply, this is native to Taiwan, but also the Ryukyu Islands in Japan. I'm sure I butchered that, but I believe that those are kind of the more southern islands in that archipelago. So this guy here is a forest palm, and by and large, it wants to grow for light and sun, part shade. So you can put these in full sun, but generally, especially if you're in a drier climate, they really are going to struggle, and we're going to get to moisture. But part shade, in my experience, is absolutely essential for these guys when they are young. You can see in these photos that especially the younger fronds and the little pups, this is a clumping palm, have kind of a fishtail vibe, but to me, it's not quite as fishtail-y, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You can pause the screen and zoom in on that, but I'm going to cover all the info on that tag later. So yeah, I would say best in part shade with, and by that, that's probably going to be in the ground. 5 hours of direct sun, preferably in the morning, but that's probably adaptable. And probably a little bit less in drier climates. For water and humidity, that being said, good segue. This palm likes moisture, but it doesn't want to live in a swamp. So this is possibly going to be adaptable to drier climates once it's mature. You'll get to see right here a really old specimen at my local botanical gardens here in Western New York. I would imagine that beautiful specimen's been there for 25 years plus. So yeah, it is a slow growing palm. I have one and it barely puts out like a frond a year. But we'll talk about why that's worth it later on in the video. So keep it moist, especially while it's getting established, but not soggy. Perhaps this would be best on a north or east side of your house. And that's going to help it out. And so for pot size and fertility, I would say because this is a clumping palm that's going to want to spread, I would say eventually a 20-inch container is going to be adequate for it. And again, that is not with garbage and fillers on the bottom. That is full of potting soil, because again, these palms have only what is in their containers for what they need to get water and nutrients and all that. And so with slow growing palms, I don't like to fertilize them very much. You know, you're not going to push this palm to grow faster. You're just going to stress it out. So I would say, especially if you're growing it in a container and you're bringing it in for the winter, just fertilize in spring and summer. If you're in a climate where it's in the ground and you get to have it grow all year and you're in like Florida or something, you maybe, but even still, we'll talk about cold tolerance in a bit. But the other recommendation that I read is that you want to fertilize these more when they're in full sun. And so now I want to show you the Taiwan sugar palm that I have in my grow space. But actually, upon filming this video, it is nice enough to bring outside and at least have outdoors for the filming of this video. So this guy here I got from Florida last season. I don't remember what month. You can see that it put this frond out here, which is definitely a lot bigger than the rest of them. And it's really been working on this one all winter. And it's slow. It's a very slow growing palm. But again, my grow space, if you saw that video where I talked about that, I keep it pretty cool over the winter. So, you know, its average temperature was going to be about 57 degrees. Not exactly growing conditions, more just sort of like, you know, chill out and wait until spring type temperatures. But you can really see with this guy here, the fishtail palm-like leaves, especially the leaf tips. I don't find fishtail palms that attractive. You can tell me what you think about fishtail palms in the comments, but this doesn't really bother me. And again, as it matures, they sort of lose that fishtail palm type vibe. But the reason you clicked on this video is not to see how slow they grow, but because the thumbnail is possibly true. I think the Taiwanese sugar palm could dethrone the Pindo, otherwise known as Butea odorata, or whatever it's being called now these days, as the most cold-tolerant feather palm in the world. So, that being said, I think that Taiwanese sugar palm can grow in zone 8B, especially if it's a warmer 8B. So, like, if you guys have a quick, brief winter to where it's like, yes, it does get very cold. Yes, it's probably going to take some foliar damage if it gets down into the mid or low teens. But I do think it'll survive that, you know, and based on what I've read, I think it's definitely worth a try. This guy in containers, I brought in last year at around 35 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Probably just because this one is so young, probably I brought it in at closer to 40. But it is, even as a younger plant, able to tolerate some pretty significant cold. But this dead frond here provided a perfect opportunity to say that this is the perfect time to cut off dead fronds off of palms and to prune. Under no circumstance is hurricane cutting an established or potted landscape specimen an appropriate thing to do. But when it is time to prune, just take a good pair of pruning shears and cut it relatively, that's going to be hard to see, and you cut it relatively close to the trunk. Now, I could prune that a little tighter to the trunk, but for now, that's great. Alright guys, and so for final thoughts, with the Taiwanese sugar palm, I think these are prettier than fishtail palms. And the reason that they're called sugar palms is because the sap of the fruit is used to make sugar and alcohol. So, and again, I think that the Taiwanese sugar palm has potential to dethrone the Pindo palm as the most cold-tolerant feather palm in the world that we know of. So drop me a comment down below if you think that's an insane proposition or if you agree with it. Also, if you have a sugar palm in your garden, I would love to hear about what your experiences have been. And if you've gotten this far, be sure to drop me a big old thumbs up, just like that. And if you want to see more content just like this right here, be sure to smash that subscribe button and tap the bell. And also, I will be posting more Thursday videos. Alright y'all, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Peace!